First one I want to start with is at the very top. It's what you love. And essentially, a lot of us go to work so that we can live. Wouldn't it be nice if you could live out your work and that you had some sort of deeper level of connection to that and a passion, so that you didn't feel like you were just going to work so you could live? What if you could live and work was just part of your life, and you really embrace that aspect? So it's not beyond any of us to find out, what we love and to somehow incorporate that into what we do for work. Definition, as you can see it, basically, Ikigai just refers to having a directional purpose in life, which makes one's life worthwhile, and towards which an individual takes spontaneous and willing actions, giving them satisfaction and a sense or a meaning of life. Short version of that is, your Ikigai is your reason for being. Now, I'm going to take you through each of these rather than try and give you a description of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. And I'm going to put that in the form of a story, because I've always found that every time I share a story, and you might agree with this for yourselves, it's easier to draw an analogy or to help people understand where you're coming from. So for me personally, those who don't know me yet, my trade is actually I'm a HPE accounting teacher. An interesting mix. I could also teach junior math, and they'd throw me into anything. I even took a couple of music lessons. So I can't imagine how anyone thought that would have been a good idea. But what I found out is, while I was teaching, I realized that I was good at teaching. But what I realized is that what I loved was people. And there's a difference between just seeing that you can go and teach because you love people. So what I love these moments. Even though online's not my cup of tea, I'd rather be right with you right now, connecting with you, watching your reactions, helping to draw things out of you. Because what I love and what I'm good at is not only working with people, but when I put the two together, I'm good at working with people because I know I can bring out the best in people. That's my passion. Can you see the connection between the two? What you're good at and what you love. If you put that together and you're passionate about that, you feel that in the way in which you do what you do. The next one, if I look over here and I see my mission, I try to connect what I love and what I felt the world needs. Now, as a teacher, I couldn't achieve what I wanted to achieve. My mission was to disrupt schools and to disrupt workplaces and universities, and to say that the institution or the workplace, I understand its purpose and what its benefit is. But for me, my mission is to go in there and to make sure that it's not always about the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, and the dollar value. Because if it is, what we potentially do as a society is we treat everyone as a number. And each of us can feel like if we're not an A student or an honours student, if we're at uni, if we're not on that top bracket, a great salary and earning really well, then maybe we're not the people that society sees as successful. But my mission is to let each and every person know that your personal value, your story, everything about you is your greatest asset. And so I'm living out my mission. And what I've done is I've connected what I love with what I believe the world needs, and I turn that into my mission. And I'm sitting here in front of you and I feel somewhat like a real privilege to be doing this thing because I'm living out my mission. I'm living out my passion, and it comes down here because it's my vocation. I actually get paid from Griffith University today. So Maddie, Cameron, Andrew, thanks for setting this up. I get paid because I live out my vocation, but I can't find or fulfill that vocation and be authentic to my Ikigai unless I've connected that what I'm good at, what I love, what I think the world needs, and now what I've found out that I can get paid for. So you can even work around back the other way. I look at a profession. So I've made a profession and a vocation by linking up all of this, what I'm good at, what the world needs, and now I know I can get paid for that. And at the same time, I'm doing what I absolutely love. So now that we're switched on, something I want to share with you is when you're looking at your Ikigai, a lot of people say, well, no, I don't know what my Ikigai is. Some of you might already be living out your Ikigai right now. Some of you might have known for a while what you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, and what you're paid for, what you can get paid for. So can I just see, is there anyone currently who feels like they're living out their ikigai? Can you put something on our group chat that say, yeah, I think I am? Interesting. Sometimes. Feliciano, I like it. Sean's getting closer. Okay, good. They're really good answers. And Melissa, you are yes. I like it. Okay, you're going to have a chance to discuss these. Lucy's saying not just yet, not really. Some people working towards it. Good. All right. This is going to get you talking about it at least. In a moment, I want you to give yourself the following sets of permission. Some of you are living it out, and that's great. I can see Rick is, and so is Melissa. Some of you may not know it yet, and that's okay. Personally, I think I'm really in touch with my ikigai now, but at the age of 30, no, I wasn't. I'm 43 now, in case you're wondering. At 30, no, I didn't know what it was, and it makes it all that more richer now for me to be able to reflect back on and maybe think, why didn't I, and what was going wrong? And I'm going to share some of those things in a moment with you. But what you love or what you're good at is what really matters here. Now, you might think, okay, this is really quirky, and maybe a friend or a parent or someone has said to you in the past, that is not going to pay the bills, or you can't make a career or a profession or something out of that. And I think if anything in the last 20 years has shown us is that the way in which the world moves and the current pandemic that we're in has told us you have to be willing to change. And if you don't disrupt things, well, other people are going to disrupt it for you, and you might just always be where you've always been. So you've got to start to disrupt the status quo and start thinking for yourself, what is it that I love and what really matters to me? And do your best. When I put you in a breakout room in a moment, you got to do your very, very best, right? To share what your ikigai is and have no disclaimers, or go, oh no, it sounds really stupid, or oh no, you know, it's not so cool, or I know this is far out there. That's what your ikigai is, all right? It's yours. It makes you very unique. It's your love, your passion. And don't give that away just because maybe Rochelle or Andrew turn around to you and go, no, that's weird. If someone says that to you, just ignore them. Go back to you, okay? So I want to take you to the next screen. And even though there's so many different examples we could get there that would really enrich everyone in the group, I think those three give us a decent insight to seeing that each of us is so unique in what we're capable of doing. We have to invest in our own understanding and not make any excuses for that. So let's have a look at reasons people don't achieve their ikigai. Now, in the break, I had a really nice chat with Cameron, and I was saying, he asked a great question. He says, you know, what happens if people mix their passion with their work, and all of a sudden they lose that passion because it becomes too much like work? Well, I want to scroll back up to your ikigai for a second, down, and I'll get another copy of it. And I just want you to look at this like everything in life is balance. And the moment that you fall out of balance with your own understanding of your reason for being, which is your ikigai, it means that something's not going well. Now, the example I gave before is, even though I do get paid well for what I do, sometimes if I place that as the priority and the focus of me going out to do work, I'm going to fall out of balance, because if I turn up somewhere and my heart's not in the job that I've been given, or the brief, or maybe there's been some constraints put on me, all of a sudden my reason for being has changed and the goalposts have moved. And for that reason, my passion now has become something in my work that I don't enjoy anymore. Does that make sense so far? Can I get a couple of hey yeses, or yep, I get you, I hear you, bro? Yep. Or a thumbs up? Cool. Okay, cool. So life is certainly about what we value. We certainly have to be authentic to ourselves and our reason for being. And the more that you commit to that understanding of your reason for being, and also along the way realizing that It's like a growth mindset. I'm on my way there. I haven't got there yet, but I'm certainly on the way to it. Now, if I can take you back to reasons why people don't achieve their ikigai, people don't believe it's possible to make this their love or their passion, to make it actually pay. That is only our own inability to create, to throw ourselves into something and understand that overnight success does not just happen unless you're extremely lucky for some reason. For me personally, I volunteered in so many different roles, as I'm conscious that all of you know what I'm talking about here. Think of all the work that you do. Right now, you may not, there may be no one saying, hey, pat on the back, all the work that you're doing, the juggle that you're doing between uni life, work, volunteering, the support work you do. Can I be that person that says to me, trust me, you are on the right path? But what you must do, you must consciously draw it back and say, if I'm doing this and I'm just subconsciously hoping that this is going to direct me towards my ikigai, or whatever else you want to call it, your dream job perhaps before today, or, you know, in the right direction, then I think you're just going to get there a little bit slower, but you will get there. What I believe accelerates that understanding is for you to be able to say and change that thought process, the words that you use, and to also start putting down some things maybe on paper or on a website. Now look at Ingo, right? What a legend. Started his own website. Am I right, mate? Got his own website. He's got a concept. He's got an idea. Well, maybe it's time then to write a business plan. If you opened up a folder in my thing, I've got something like 75 business plans, and I just do it because I enjoy it. That's what I'm passionate about as well. I love creating understandings and things like that. It doesn't matter that 71 of them haven't come off yet, or that actually 3 or 4 of them just did not work. The understanding is that you move one step closer and it redirects you, and starts by trial and error sometimes, but by deliberate movements and actions, you then start to get closer towards what you want through experience. So the reason why people don't achieve their ikigai is I think that they think that the world around them is just going to evolve and it's just going to happen. Australia's tall poppy. Look at this one. You allow people's perceptions of your dream or mission more weight than your own. We worry too much about what other people think. If you walk out of here with one tip from me today, stop caring about what other people think. All right. Think about if you've got children already. Anyone here got children? Unreal, Rochelle. Okay. I don't know what it is. It seems to be when people get children that they start to care less about what other people think. There's another part of you in this world that you say, you know what, if I'm going to invest anything into anyone at the moment, well, I'm just going to make sure that I'm better for my children. Well, your homework, again, I give a lot of it, is be better for yourself. You know, stop caring what people think. Who cares? Of course, you can take it on board, but if it's not conducive towards your ikigai or your just general well-being, don't worry. All right? So you can't take a short-term pay cut to live out your ikigai. People think, nah, I'm already earning. I get it. I understand people's situations. You've got family commitments or you've got different things. It's another reason why people won't reach their ikigai. You've become too complacent and it feels unachievable or too late in the piece. Some of you feel like, you know what, I should have done this when I was 23, or I should have done this when I was 18. I know some of the best people. Look at Colonel Sanders. And that guy's a legend, mate. How good's his chicken and chips? He did that, I think, at some ridiculous age. It was 65 that he created. Have a look at his story. I'm guessing it was 65 or something like that. But it was later in life when he created what is one of the world's most renowned fast food chains. You've got time, all right? Get rid of that excuse. So, you know what? If you believe people don't make money out of their kind of passion and you have self-doubt, I've got a couple of examples for you to think about here. Before I do, but is there any questions from anyone? I am conscious I don't like just rattling on and giving you just content. I also like to find out if there's a question from the group. So on group chat, I'm looking. If anyone's got a question or even something they'd like to contribute to the group. Evelyn, you're a legend. No, but the burgers look good. I think I'm going to have a burger myself. Okay, Kristen, that's a good question. How do you get over caring what people think? It's a difficult one to answer because each of us come with a different story, a different narrative. And we're going to look at that. I believe it's next week. We're looking at our narrative for the week after. Hardest thing is, I believe we don't really, if I can give you one piece of advice, and this is not the be all and end all, I believe when you don't know what you stand for, and in today's case, like a Ikigai, what you're good at, what your mission is in this world, what you love, those passions, I think if you don't know what you value and what you stand for, then you fall over for anything. So somebody else comes into your life and says, oh, I wouldn't do it that way, or no, that's hopeless, or that's as if you'd wear that, as if you'd think that. Do you like that music? Critical of the hamburger you like? All those sorts of things. And what happens, in my opinion, is you quickly value what they've got ahead of yours because maybe you haven't stopped and said, you know what, maybe I need to make my own, let's say it is my narrative, but my own understanding of why this is me, why I have no reservations in saying this is me, and just stand by that and be proud so that when anything comes and knocks you, you know what you stand for and you won't fall so easy. I hope that helps. Can I have a look on the side here? Anyone got any thoughts that, yep, that makes sense? Good on you, Kristen, champion. So sometimes it's just jotting down a few little notes to yourself, self-talk. I've got to tell you, in times in my life, 100%, I've never been short of confidence. I can say that confidently. But I have certainly stood there at times in my life and repeated over and over again words like, mate, you're doing a good job, keep going. And even really tough times saying to myself, look, this is not ideal, but keep going. So self-talk, self-thoughts, your thoughts become your words become your actions, and your actions become who you are. So little things like that, I hope they resonate with you. I know they've helped me throughout times as well. Good segue in there, Sean and Katie. You know, how to move more towards your Ikigai. You know, so we upskill. So if you didn't go and approach the guild or a wellness warrior or do something, then I would say you're not challenging your comfort zone, right? But if you have to go be a volunteer, I remember Emma Shea, who I don't think's there anymore, but I remember she would say, people think that I'm horrible because I walk up to them, try to give them a brochure. And, you know, she just felt that was so strange for her to have to do. But I've got to tell you, that builds character and that pushes your boundaries. So here, when we're talking about outside your comfort zone, Katie, I think you were spot on with what you said to Sean and your group. You've got to push the boundaries and you've got to upskill yourself, whether that's how you talk to people, listen to people, or interact with others and challenge yourself. Realize that, you know, your reason for being is not anyone else's, all right? So even if you surround yourself with people who say, no, I'd never do that, or I wouldn't go and speak to the lecturer, for example, afterwards and say, hey, you know what, that was a great lecture, well done. Well, be that person and see what comes of that. Or at work, think about your boss. What if you went and said to your boss, hey, this is an area I'm interested in. Can you help me to get there? If you've never had that conversation, how much have you sold yourself short? You know what I mean? Look at, you know, coming back to your purpose often. If you're in the third space last week, or if you weren't, one of the things that we said is before you go into what you go into next, make sure it's got purpose. If it doesn't, you'll probably get the same outcome that you got last time. And the example was for me, you know, I've got to go home, and when I go home, I've got to stop myself so that when I walk in there, I'm spot on as dad and a husband. And if I don't stop, then I'll probably just go in and do what I've always done. And that's no joy for me or my family compared to what it is if I stop and put purpose behind what I'm doing. The last point here is, you know, just moving one step further along your path. So like, if you want to look at it like a path and you just keep laying pavers, people, or laying bricks, and it's taking you to that next step. And sometimes I've got to tell you, I've built paths in different directions and they've just stopped. But somehow later in life, when I'm doing a presentation, I'm able to tell a story, or somehow later in life, I see that there's a connection that I made on that path less taken. And even though I didn't feel like it was taking me anywhere then, I realized that by taking that path, I'd actually walked the road less taken from many others. And so it enriches my life as I stand right now. So it's definitely, Sean, coming back to comfort zones. You know, you've got to go and walk those paths, and your actions and your words, see if you can marry those up. You know, if you're telling yourself, well, I've got to get outside my comfort zone, well, go run up a hill. You know what I mean? Or go and do something which is totally just going to challenge what you would normally do. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I know, like, we've zipped through the hour. I hope it's been interactive for you. You know, as I say, I normally like to read a room by sitting there and seeing you and getting more feedback and input from you. But I would like to take this opportunity to summarize that, you know, your awareness that your Ikigai is your reason for being. In the next sessions that we're going to do when we look at your narrative, what I really hope for each and every one of you is that, one, you can start to document your story, which includes what you're good at and what your passion is and, you know, where you'd like to see yourself. But I want you to go back and we're going to explore your reason for being. How did you get here? You know, what are the things that have happened to you uniquely in your life that make you this incredible human being, a unique person that either is recognizing your potential or is just allowing society to dictate terms to you. So what are you going to do? Second point here, to move into that space. Well, today was a good start, and your homework is to put down in words, and hopefully you'll be able to articulate it as well, what you're doing that moves you into that space of that reason for being. And if you don't know it, what can you start doing? So you give yourself your own homework. Don't let me get my joy from giving people homework. Your Ikigai takes work. It's self-awareness, and we're going to build on that in our narrative session. And it's also a commitment, and it's ongoing. And if you're not committed to it and you think you'll just leave it, then society will pick it up and they'll tell you what your story is going to be anyway. I hope that's making sense. Hope that's something you can really take out today, all right? If you don't take the bull by the horns, people and society around you are going to do it for you. Don't be that person. And the last thing I'd like to leave on is, don't be so quick to dismiss someone else's Ikigai. Now, there was a burger early on, and I'd like to finish with a little story. At the time, I was a HPE teacher. I was teaching at Grand Avenue at Forest Lake, and there was a lovely woman. I wonder if anyone knows her. Her name was Patricia Reithmuller. And she was a year 7 teacher back then. And she said to me, you know what, Damo? She said, I reckon, you know what would be a really good business? Now, this is a wonderful teacher, right? She had been teaching for a long time. And she said, I reckon a wonderful business would be hamburgers. And I thought, are you serious? Come on, hamburgers. Look at Hungry Jack's and McDonald's. Who would compete with them? And I think it was only a couple of years later, maybe 3 or 4 years later, that Grilled came out. And burgers just started attacking the market. And I thought to myself, isn't it strange that I would have dismissed that so easily? So the last point I'd like to say here is, don't be so quick to dismiss someone else's Ikigai. It's not yours. And you probably learned something by listening to somebody else's insights. And it could also, it would be a really wonderful thing for your own leadership, your own management, your own social intelligence, to not so quickly dismiss what other people suggest is a passion, but instead be that person that spurs them on and encourages them along the way. And that's a lesson I certainly took back then, and it's helped shape what I do now. So on that note, you know, connect with me if you've got some questions. This is what my passion is, and I don't need to get paid for it. Essentially, if there's time after this, I still consider that being on the clock. So if you've got a question for me, or you'd like to link up with me on LinkedIn, simply just send me an email or even a phone call chat. One thing I'm very good at is helping people to realize what they're capable of, what they're good at, what they love, what the world needs, and potentially what they can be paid for.